Okay guys, I'm going to do this video because of a question I got from another guy on YouTube, and this is his name, Jam Todd 1. He's a really good guy. He just started doing videos. He's got one video up, and him and his wife are shooting, going to the range, and he has a Glock, and I don't know what else he has. He's a good guy, and he sent me over a question concerning some of my opinions on home defense. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right up front that what you're going to see and what you're going to hear me talk about is my opinions only. What you use, if it's different from me, is not a bad thing. This is just my opinions on the knowledge that I have concerning home defense, okay? So, if you use something different or you like something different, don't take offense to what I'm about to say in this video. Okay, with all that said, okay, now let's get this rolling. Okay, I'm going to talk about the shotgun for home defense. I'm going to talk about a revolver, a semi-auto, and some different rounds that I like to use. Now, when you're talking home defense, to me it's a different situation in a lot of reasons than if you're on the street and you conceal carry a gun. So this discussion here is only concerning home defense. Inside the home, someone breaks into your house, or you need to defend yourself while in the home. That's all this video is going to concern. The concealed carry video, I can do one of those another day, but this is just going to be defense inside the home. Okay, I'll start with talking about the shotgun. It's a very good self-defense tool for the home, and there's several reasons for that. One of the first reasons is it's less danger of harming third parties in the house or neighbors. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what kind of rounds that you should use and different things like that. First of all, the ideal barrel length on a home defense shotgun would only be 18 to 22 inches. The closer you can get to 18, the better, but anything from 18 to 22 should do you fine, okay? What I use for the shotgun for home defense is 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck. Okay, I don't feel that there is a need for magnums or super magnums for a home defense situation. There's just not a lot of extra added benefit in that close range, and you're going to have a lot more recoil and blast and flash out of the muzzle, and it's going to be harder for you to stay on target, okay? So, I tend to just stick with the standard 2 3/4 inch double-aught buck, for me personally. Okay, another thing about the home defense shotgun, to me the ideal situation is to have a pistol grip on the shotgun. And the reason for that is it's much easier to control the gun at hip level or anywhere where it's not up on your shoulder. It's much easier to control or fire. And in the home, when you think there's been an intruder and you think someone's in your home, you might not always be able to walk everywhere with this thing up on your shoulder. So a pistol grip will give you something to stabilize and hold, you know, and maneuver around and have the gun lower as you're clearing the home. Okay, so a pistol grip is ideal for a home defense shotgun. One thing though I will say with shotguns is you just want to make sure, you know, it's going to be low light situations, and you want to make sure that it is actually an intruder inside the home before you fire the gun, especially if you have other people living in your home, like children, your wife, your husband, anybody staying the night, your children's friends. You want to make sure. I'll tell you a couple of stories at the end of this video, a couple of police stories. One's funny and one's not so funny, okay? But let's get on with the rest of this for right now, and I'll talk about that at the end. Okay, when you're talking about home defense, when it comes to handguns, there's a couple different choices you can go with as far as just the basics. You can either go revolver or semi-auto. Okay, I'm not going to discuss a lot of different calibers in this video, just for the sake of time. Caliber is pretty much up to your choice, your preference, okay? Now, a revolver is good. Okay, let's say this is a home defense gun for you, your wife, maybe even your older children. When I say older, there's kids that live at home that are in their 20s, so I'm not talking about, 13 or 14-year-olds at all. I'm talking about you could have children living in the home that are 18 and over, 20 some years old, whatever. Okay, well, if your wife knows how to shoot guns, but she doesn't know a lot about semi-autos, or she's not real familiar with a lot of different guns, a revolver is a good thing to go with. Okay, your revolver is just, it is empty. It's just going to be basically point and shoot. There's nothing to worry about. There's no safety lever. Just, point the gun and shoot. You're going to have that full trigger pull. You want to keep a steady grip when you shoot the gun, but it's point and shoot basics with the revolver. And ultra reliability. There's no risk of this thing jamming. Okay? So she wouldn't have to worry about limp wristing a gun if it were a female and having a jam. Okay? Because it's not going to happen with a revolver. Limp wristing doesn't matter with a revolver. Another thing with revolvers is I recommend these a lot of times to older people because some older people and some women or older women just cannot rack the slide on a semi-auto. It just takes too much strength for them, or I've encountered people that have arthritis and they can't rack the slide on a semi-auto gun. So in that case, you would just have a revolver and you'd be good to go. Now, with the revolver, I conceal carry that a lot in the pocket. If I just need to grab something quick or as a backup gun, I use 125 grain 357 Magnums in that. Okay, now this is considered the best self-defense 357 Magnum cartridge that there is made. This 125 grain Speer Gold Dot 357 Magnum has a 96% one-hit stop rate. And everything I'm telling you guys can be verified and looked up and checked. So 96% one-hit stop. That is just awesome. It don't get much better than that. Okay? For semi-autos, I like Corbon, I like Hornady. Basically, any quality hollow point will work for you in a semi-auto or a revolver. Good quality hollow point will be good. In my 40 calibers, I use I seem to be missing some. I wonder why. Just kidding, guys. They're loaded in other magazines. I like these DPX, deep penetrating Corbon hollow points. Now, what Corbon is doing is they're making these hollow points, they're solid copper. There is no way for the jacket to separate. Okay, so you can get better expansion with these. It's all copper. There's no lead in there. They're more expensive, but they can be worth the money. And you don't have to buy a ton of this self-defense ammo. You should buy some to practice with and then some to carry. But solid copper, no separation of jacket. Okay, another thing with these is it's pretty safe in the home as far as once it hits a wall or something, it starts to dramatically slow down. And when going through a person, even in soft tissue, this will expand and greatly slow down if it comes out of the person as well. So it is pretty safe as well for in the home. And I'm going to be jumping around a lot in this video, so don't mind that. That's just the way I do my videos. Also, back to the shotgun. Double-aught buck shells. Going through a wall into another room greatly decreases the velocity and energy of this round. Okay, so you're safe. And if this strikes someone, you're really safe because it's not going much further. Okay? And this isn't Hollywood. Okay? These shotgun patterns aren't 2 and 3 feet in diameter. These shotgun patterns, typically are going to be in close range. Now, like I said, keep in mind we're talking home defense. Close range is going to be about maybe something like that or a little wider. You can look it up online. But we're not talking that it's going to be a 3-foot spread, so you don't have to worry about that. What I do not recommend for home defense would be like an AR-15 or an AK-47 or any high-powered rifle. And I know some guys use that, and that's fine. If that's what you train with and you work with, and that's what you want to use, this is America. You're free to do what you want. But keep in mind that when you shoot, let's say 7.62 by 39 out of the AK, that's going to go through drywall, just like a little bit, with just a little bit, like it's going through cardboard. You know, maybe a little bit more resistance than cardboard. So if you have family members or your home is not brick and you've got neighbors close by, that round can easily go through a human soft tissue. If it doesn't hit any bone, go through the wall of your home into a bedroom or into your neighbor's home. Okay, you don't want to be liable for that, because you can go to prison in a case like that, even if someone broke into your home. So you want to watch if you're using any high-powered rifle rounds inside of your house. Okay, you still always want to be sure of what's behind your target, even if that target's an intruder. All right, because you just gotta kind of picture your home without walls and think about it like that. Because if you was to shoot like an AR-15, it's going to go through sheetrock drywall like nothing. Okay, and we wouldn't want that to be going into an innocent, you know. So what I stick with is I stick with a 12 gauge shotgun loaded with 2 3/4 double-aught buck. And I don't have it here on the table because I didn't want to unload it. I mainly keep it fully loaded, and I didn't want to bring it out. Is my HK USP 45. That is my home defense handgun right now. 45 is great. It does have a high percentage of one-shot stops, and I think the 45 round, and you know, basically any semi-auto you get, is a very good round for home defense. Okay, now I'll go on to a couple of the stories I was going to tell you. The first one happened to a cop I know. It's been some years ago, but he got a call about someone being in an abandoned building, and he went to the abandoned building, and while inside, he was chasing someone. He saw them reach into their coat, seen something in their hand that was dark. They turned about a quarter of the way around, and the cop shot him 2 times with a 45 caliber semi-auto. The person was dead on scene, and it turned out to be a 15-year-old kid who he was running, and he was going to jump over something. He had a comb inside of his pocket of his jacket. I guess, you know, can only speculate, he wanted to pull the comb out so he didn't get jabbed when he went to jump something that was tall. And it was a low light situation. Like I said, you got to be careful, guys, in the home in a low light situation. Well, he pulled the comb from his coat, and he started to turn around just to see how close the policeman was, and that's when he shot him. And then this cop his life was tied up in tons of court and civil suits from the family, and they sued him. They won money, the family, and it just pretty much turned his life upside down. Yeah, but you just got to be careful. You know who's in your home. Now, in your home, basically, any intruder in my state, any intruder is subject to be shot. And what I mean by that is, in my state, we have castle doctrine, which means if basically somebody breaks into my home, it does not matter if he has a weapon. It does not matter what reason he broke into my home. I am pretty much fully covered and justified if I shoot the guy. You know, you don't want to shoot him in the back if you come out and he's running out of your front door. You don't want to do that. But you have the right to feel safe in your own home, and that's the way it should be. If you can't feel safe at home, where can you feel safe? You know, you want to be able to sleep peaceful at night. And anyone breaking into your home should already know that there's a threat of them being killed. So it's not like they didn't know it when they were breaking in. Okay, another story. This is a funny one. I was told this by the sergeant. This happened years ago, and I believe it was in the 80s. They got a call to a church at about 3 or 4 in the morning. A window was broken, and the person that called them, I'm not for sure who the person was that called them from the church, or how they found out, but the window was broke, and they thought someone may still be inside. So the sergeant and a sheriff's deputy arrived on scene, and the sheriff's deputy is in the building, and he's talking with the person that called, and the sheriff's deputy, the other guy, is walking around clearing the areas, and all of a sudden he goes upstairs, and all of a sudden the sergeant hears bang, bang, 2 shots. Okay, now at the time they were still carrying .357 Magnum revolvers when this happened. So the sergeant about jumped out of his pants when he heard that, and he goes up there, and the sheriff's deputy's up in an attic, and he's asking him what happened, and you know, everything's kind of crazy, the adrenaline's flowing, and they go into the attic and go around this corner, and there was a prop. It was kind of like a mannequin dressed up, and it was holding a sword pointed forward. It was a prop for a church play. And the sheriff's deputy went up there and rounded that corner, and it was dark, low light, and you know, being in like a high state of awareness, he went around and that sword was pointing right at him like this, and he fired off 2 .357 Magnum shots, and the sergeant said that he did hit 2 close taps right in the center chest. So everybody kind of had a good laugh about it, you know, and that was about all that was said of that situation. But like I said, guys, always be cautious in your home of low light situations when you have other family members and children, and your children have friends that spend the night, and you know, because you're going to wake up drowsy, and you're not going to be at full capacity out of a dead sleep unless you're trained to be that way. And you know, everything might be kind of foggy, and you want to watch what you're doing, you know, but you do have the right in this country to protect you and your family in your home, and that's one of the greatest rights we have. Even in states where you can't conceal carry, you can still protect yourself in your home. There is some states where they have a law that says that you should retreat. You should try to retreat first. Let me break it down to you, what that law means. That if someone were to break in your home, and you hear it or you see it, you should try to actually run and get out and get away. And if you can't get away, then you could defend yourself. Okay? I don't think that's a good law at all. That's a very ignorant law. And it's not like that in my state. We have castle doctrine. Okay? And then in Florida, castle doctrine extends to your car as well. I love that law, but unfortunately, I'm not in Florida. I love the castle doctrine law that extends to your vehicle. It covers you, you know, for if anything would happen, you should be able to feel safe inside your vehicle as well, as far as I'm concerned. So that's about it, guys. And Jam Todd 1, I hope this video helped you out. If you have any more questions, send me a message and I'll try to help you out. This was just the basics, guys. I didn't get in deep, and I didn't get into a lot of calibers. It's just basic stuff for some people that are wanting to get into home defense and don't know where to start. You know, I don't want to take them too deep right off the bat. You know, we can get into that later. All right, everyone. This is Humans for Targets, and I'm out.